Hi guys, we're looking at long division of polynomials today, and this is really important because I'm going to show you how we can divide one polynomial by another, okay? And we can use this technique to work out what the factors of a polynomial are. So it could be a cubic or a quartic. If we know one of the factors, we can work out what the other factors are. Now I'm just going to show you numerically how to do division, because the long division of numbers is very similar to long division of polynomials. So let's just start off by working out what, for example, 123 divided by 7 is. Okay, and let's just start off by using the bus stop method. And you'll see the similarities between the two methods. So start off 7 into 12. What do we multiply 7 by to get 12? Well, it goes once, so I'm going to put a 1 up there, and then I'm going to multiply that 1 by the 7 and write the answer underneath. Okay, 1 times 7 is 7, and we do 12 minus 7 to work out what the remainder is. So 12 minus 7 is 5. So 7 into 12 is 1, remainder 5. Now bring down the next digit, okay, and we start again. So 7's into 53 this time. Well, 7 7s are 49, so I put the 7 up there and multiply that 7 by the 7 and write the answer underneath the 53. 7 7s are 49, and again we're going to subtract, and we get the value 4. Now we have no digits left, so 17 remainder 4 is the answer. So if we were going to write this as a mixed number, it would be 17 remainder 4, or we could write it as 4/7. Okay, so that's numerically how we do the bus stop method, and we're going to do something very similar with algebra. Okay, so here we have a cubic, and we're going to divide by the linear expression x plus 2, or the linear polynomial. So let's start off by writing this out in terms of a bus stop. You do need quite a bit of space when you're doing questions like this, so just make sure you've got quite a bit of space on your page. Okay, now we start off by saying we're taking the first term in our linear expression, our x term, and we're saying how many times does x go into x cubed? That's kind of like our first digit or pair of digits. Okay, so how many times does x go into x cubed? Or alternatively, you could think of it as what is x cubed divided by x? Okay, well, the answer is x squared, so I'm going to write x squared on top there. Now I'm going to multiply x squared by x plus 2 and write the answer underneath. So x squared times x is x cubed, and x squared times 2 is 2x squared. Now when you're doing this, you need to keep everything in line, so all the x cubes together in one column, all the x squareds together in one column, and just try and keep everything neat and tidy. So now I've multiplied the x squared by x plus 2, I need to subtract. So we're subtracting two terms here, and I do like to put a little minus sign on the left just to remind me that I'm subtracting. Okay, so x cubed minus x cubed is 0, 5x squared minus 2x squared is 3x squared, and this is where we bring down the next term. Okay, so like you brought down the next digit when you're doing it numerically, here we're just bringing down the next term. And now we start again. So again, we're taking the x in x plus 2, and we're comparing it with the first term, but on this bottom line. Okay, we're always working on the bottom line. So x is into x, 3x squared is 3x. And now we take the 3x and we multiply by x plus 2. So we're going to get a 3x squared plus a 6x. And again, we need to subtract. So I'm going to put a little minus sign on the left there. Okay, 3x squared minus 3x squared is 0. 4x minus 6x is minus 2x. Bring down the next term. And I'm putting little arrows just to keep everything nice and neat. And it helps when you're coming to check your question, check the working. You know, these arrows can help you out. Okay, start again. Again, we're saying how many x's go into minus 2x this time. So again, just the first term. So x is into minus 2x is minus 2. Let's put that answer up top. And then minus 2 times x is minus 2x. And minus 2 times plus 2 is minus 4. Okay, and again, we're going to subtract them. Minus 2x minus minus 2x, that makes a plus 2x, so you get 0. And minus 4 minus minus 4 is 0 as well. So we have no remainder. And that's important, because what that means is that x plus 2 is a factor of our cubic. Okay, now if we were to do numerically, if I was to say 24 divided by 8, we know the answer is 3 remainder 0. We could write 24 as 3 times 8. Well, we can do the same thing with algebra. We can write this cubic, our x cubed expression there, as the product of x plus 2 and the quadratic that we ended up with in our quotient. Okay, that's called the quotient up the top there. So if we were to do that in terms of our example question here, then we can write our cubic equal to the 3, which was our quotient, which is in our case it's x squared plus 3x minus 2. Okay, just put brackets around that, multiplied by what we're dividing by. In our numerical example it's 8. We can write x plus 2. Okay, so quite often when you're answering questions in the exam, they might ask you to express your cubic or your quartic as the product of its factors. So obviously x plus 2 is a factor, the other factor is this quadratic, and it could be that that quadratic will split up into 2 factors itself. In this case it won't, so we just have the product of a linear factor and a quadratic factor. Okay, let's take a look at another example. So again, let's start off by drawing the bus stop. And this time you'll notice we don't have an x term, but we still need that column. So what I'm going to do is to write 2x cubed plus 3x squared, and I'm going to put in a 0x column. Okay, so 0x is just 0. Okay, and then a minus 1. You do need to put in any columns that are missing, otherwise you'll get into a bit of a mess when you try to do this. Okay, if there was an x squared term missing, you'd have to put a 0x squared in, and so on. Okay, so how many x's are there in 2x cubed? It's 2x squared. 2x squared times x, 2x cubed. 2x squared times 1 is 2x squared, and subtract. 2x cubed minus 2x cubed is 0. 3x squared minus 2x squared is just x squared. Okay, and we have a 0x that I'm going to bring down there. And start again. How many x's are there in x squared? Well, there's just x. X times x is x squared. X times 1 is x. And subtract. Okay, x squared minus x squared is 0. You should always get a 0 here as this first term, but I always like to just multiply things out and subtract just to make sure that I've done it right. It's just a way of double checking your working. 0x or 0 minus x is minus x. and bring down the next term. Okay, and start again. X is into minus x is minus 1. Minus 1 times x is minus x. Minus 1 times plus 1 is minus 1. And you can see when we subtract these, we get 0 remainder. Okay, so we have another factor. These two factors, the linear x plus 1 factor and the quadratic factor, multiplied together to give us that cubic. Okay, let's just go ahead and write our cubic as the product of these two factors. Don't need to put the 0 in. Let's write down our quadratic factor first. 2x squared plus x minus 1. Multiplied by our linear factor x plus 1. Okay. Now I have a suspicion that our quadratic will also factorize, so let's try that. 3 terms, so we need 2 sets of brackets, and then the last factor there, x plus 1. So we need a 2x and an x. We need a minus 1. Let's put a plus 1 on the end here and a minus 1 here. Okay, so 2x squared plus 2x minus x gives us a plus x and a minus 1. So in this case we have the product of 3 linear factors. Okay. Okay, one more example. This time we have a quartic, so you're going to need quite a bit of space to do this. Okay, and we divide them by 2x minus 3. Okay, off we go. 2x's into 4x to the power 4 is going to be a 2x cubed. 2x cubed times 2x minus 3 is 4x to the power 4 minus 6x cubed. And subtract. Okay, 0 and 0. Okay, this is a good example because here we've got 0 as this second term. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually bring down the next 2 terms. Oops. I don't know where that e came from. Let's bring down the next 2 terms. So we have a plus 10x squared and a minus 11x. Okay, how many times does 2x go into 10x squared? Well, that's going to be 5x. 5x times 2x is 10x squared. 5x times minus 3 is minus 15x. And subtract. Okay, minus 11x minus 15x, so that double negative there is going to make a positive, so we're going to end up with plus 4x minus 6. Okay, this is why I always write a negative on the left hand side here, because it's particularly important when you're subtracting negatives. It just reminds you, if you're subtracting a negative, you end up with a positive value. Okay, so just as a little reminder. Okay, now 2x's into 4x is 2. 2 times 2x minus 3 is 4x minus 6. And you can see here we're going to get 0 as the remainder again. Okay, so there you go. Here we've done a quartic divided by a linear polynomial, and we end up with a cubic. And we could go ahead and we could write our quartic as the product of those two factors, but hopefully you've got the idea now. Okay, what I'd like you to do for the next lesson is to have a go at this exercise. Questions 1 to 7. Start off now by just having a go at the first section, section 1. Okay, question 1. Here are the answers. So have a go at that question, and then you can refer to these answers just to make sure you're doing the method correctly. And then for homework, you can finish off this exercise up to question 7.